Welcome back to the Cat Knit Podcast. My name is Grace and today is August 4th. It's crazy that the summer is almost over. Where has the summer gone? This is a podcast about knitting and spinning and baking and books and cats and pretty much anything that I think will be fun to talk about, but it's mainly knitting because that is what I love to do the most. All the show notes and things that I talk about, they'll be in the show notes. They'll be linked down below if you are on YouTube, or if you're on my blog, they'll just be down below. I have all my various social medias. There's Facebook, Instagram, Ravelry, and Twitter. I'm most active on Instagram by far, and that is definitely the place to follow me if you want like current updates. I also have a Ravelry group, a Ravelry podcast group. If you go to Ravelry and click on the groups tab and search the Cat Knit Podcast, it'll pop up. If you'd like to introduce yourself there, that would be wonderful. I'm very bad at keeping up with that group, so that is just a fair warning, but if you'd like to go and join it, it is there for you to join. I also have an online yarn store with yarns that I have hand dyed. That is the catknityarns.bigcartel.com. And yes, if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and spending some time with me. I really appreciate it. And if you are a new viewer, thank you so much for trying me out. I hope you enjoy this episode and other episodes that I have on my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button and that would be wonderful. Also hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate it and that would be great. So, that is all the admin stuff that was said very quickly, and now I'm going to take a sip of tea really quick. Today I have a lot of knitting. I was definitely like very purposeful in the things that I knit, in making sure that I did not knit on just one thing, and so I would only have one thing to show you. So, good for me. I did that. Multiple things have been knit upon. I did some baking, which is exciting, and yes, we'll see where this episode goes. It is very early this morning, and like we're talking like really, really early, and so I am hopeful that the apartment people will be quiet and it will not be a problem. So, not that it was a problem because I can edit around it, but it's still kind of a little pain, but that's okay. Do what you gotta do. Oh, the woes of podcasting. Anyway, long intro. So, if you'd like to grab something tasty to drink, I have my tea today and my wonderful London-esque mug, which is very wonderful. If you'd like to grab something tasty to drink, whether it be hot or cold or whatever you want, and maybe some craftiness to craft upon while I talk about crafty things to you. So, if you'd like to come back and join me for some crafty chat. So this week I pulled out a very, very, very old knit for myself to wear while recording, and I don't remember when I made this. I definitely was in college, so it's definitely been within like the past 5 years, but it's not been any time soon, that is for sure. This is the Monster Cowl, I believe. I don't remember who it's by. I'm sorry, I did not do that research beforehand, but it's just a basic chevron infinity cowl, and I actually made this out of some hand spun. So it's very summery. It's very light. Here, I'll take it off and that way I can show you more of it. It's very light and airy, and it's very fun. I thought it was a good way to use hand spun and show off the Barbara pulling, not the Barbara pulling as we have learned, show that off well. So I don't remember who designed this pattern. I am very sorry, but it will be linked in the show notes, so don't worry. It's very nice to wear just as a one loop, and then you can loop it twice if you want to be more cozy, but as it is Texas and in the summer, I won't be doing that. So, not right now anyway. When it gets colder maybe. I would really like to make another one of these. Every time I wear it or I look at it, I'm always reminded of like how well hand spun and this pattern go together, and so it's always very inspiring to be like, ah, that looks so pretty, I should do that again. I just haven't gotten around to doing it again. But if you're looking for a handspun pattern, in addition to the ones that I talked about a couple episodes ago in regards to Tour de Fleece, I almost said Tour de France, but it's Tour de Fleece, this is a good addition that I did not add to that list, so you can add that one to the list. So, like I said, knitting wise, I have knit upon 3 items, and 3 very big items, I must say. And I've also gotten to a point on all 3 of these items where I am really excited to knit upon them again, and it's not like I lost all interest in them. That was definitely not the case, but it was definitely kind of like, I don't know what I want to knit upon. I don't really feel like knitting on that, even though I know I should, but I don't know. So I just like bit the bullet with 2 of these projects because I have not been working on them in a while. One of them I showed you last week. Actually, 2 of them I showed you last week. But there's another one that I have not worked on in forever, and so I just picked it up again in order to have more podcast content because yay. That's one thing that a podcast will do for you, is that it will encourage you to get as much knitting as you can done in a week, or however often you podcast. So, because this item is on the top, we're going to talk about it first, because that makes it easy in my little bag of podcasting items. This is an old project. I think almost everybody who was doing this has definitely finished theirs. Hello car, please go by quickly. Because it's so early, everyone's like doing early things like deliveries and such. Anyway, everyone who is making one of these is probably done with theirs, and I'm just very, very slow in making mine. But I fell in love with it again, and it's just like, oh my goodness, I wanted to finish it so badly. And it is the Joji Locatelli Mystery Knit Along. It's called The Starting Point, and it is amazing. I love it so much. That's pretty much all I knit on yesterday, and I got so much of it done. It was very surprising to me. It was just kind of like, I picked it up and I was like, you know, I should probably knit on this, and that way I can talk about it on the podcast. And I finished Clue 2 and got a really good chunk done in Clue 3 on the first part. So that is exciting. This is the first part, and if you've seen it or you've heard people talk about it, you know that it's knit in 2 separate parts, and then you connect. I need to make sure that no stitches are falling off because that would be very sad. It's knit in 2 separate items, and then you somehow connect them together. And I'm very excited to see how you do that. I don't know how that is going to go down, but I'm excited to learn a new shawl construction, because I know it's not the only shawl out there that's like this. It's the first time that I have seen it, and the first time that I'll be doing it. So I'm very excited about it. This is the part that I have not been working on. So you can see that I have finished the pale pink section on both, and then I've added this white bit, or light pink bit, and this beautiful, beautiful orangey bit. I know it might not look like I accomplished very much on this, but yesterday this entire pink section had not been done. So I knit from here all the way up to here yesterday, and I'm very proud of myself. I'm sure I probably could have done more, but this is what I got done. I'm very proud of myself. Let us go over the yarns. Although all the yarns are listed on my project page on Ravelry for this, which will be linked in the show notes. So yes, we will go also, look at all these ends that need to be woven in. In the instructions, in the pattern, it was like, I highly recommend you weave in the ends as you go. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, that's a wonderful idea, I'll totally do that. And obviously that didn't happen. So I know that some people think that it's better to like not weave in your ends before you block it, and some people like weave in their ends but they don't trim them before they block it. Some people, me for a while, I would just go ahead and weave in my ends and trim it, and then block it. So I don't really know what I'm doing, really. I really could just weave them in. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to block it though, because I mean, it lays really nicely anyway, but I'm excited to see how it lays once it is blocked. Anyway, back to the yarns. That is what we are really interested in. So this light color here is Manos del Uruguay in the Fino base. Let's see if I can remember this. It's been a while. And this is the Rose Water colorway. Focus on the shawl. That is the main important thing. Here we go. Then this color right here is beautiful. It is also Manos del Uruguay, same thing as this, on the Fino base in the Havisham colorway. It's a beautiful mauve-y color. Then this is Madeline Tosh BFL Light in the Flannel Blanket colorway. So many beautiful, like, deep magentas and burnt oranges and browns and stuff. This little black stripe right here, or dark gray, is Madeline Tosh Mo Light in the Toner Cartridge colorway. And then this gray stripe right here is Madeline Tosh Mo Light in the Kitten colorway, which is actually left over from my old Romance cardigan. So those are my colors, and I am really excited because there is a big old stripe of the Toner Cartridge colorway coming up, this dark color right there. So you can see there's not very much of it in it yet. And after I'm done with this stripe, I think I get to do a stripe of the Toner Cartridge, and I'm very excited. So I'm just really loving it. It's very mindless right now, and I actually did a lot of reading last night while I was knitting on it. It was really great. With a book that I will talk about later. I'm very excited about it. So yes, that is my Joji Locatelli Starting Point Mystery Knit Along, which is no longer a Mystery Knit Along, but it was a Mystery Knit Along, that is for sure. And yeah, I'm very excited to get it done. I would really love to be able to wear it in the fall, because it's just such beautiful fall colors, and I think these colors like really go well with my coloring. So not to toot my own horn, but I think I did a good job picking the colors. So I'm very excited about this. I'm excited to wear it. I'm excited to finish it. I'm really excited to take pictures. I feel like these, you know, it's a good pattern when like every single one of them that has been knit is really inspiring. There are a lot of patterns out there that are like that. For example, Stephen West. Pretty much all of any kind of Stephen West shawl is inspiring. But this, the Starting Point in particular, is just kind of like you see a picture and it's so striking, and everyone is like, they've taken really great pictures and like they're holding it out really wide so you can see the whole thing, or they have it draped around their neck and it looks beautiful, and it's like, man, I have one of those on the needles and I'm really excited about it, so I really just need to finish it because goodness gracious, I want one of those. So very inspirational. So if you too have been knitting or have started a Starting Point, and you are kind of, you've hit a rut and you just aren't inspired anymore, I highly recommend definitely looking up the hashtag on Instagram or looking at the project pages on Ravelry, because goodness gracious, there's so many beautiful ones. So many. Secondly, what I have been knitting upon is this yarn. I've been using this yarn. You might recognize this color. You might also be like, you're talking about this for the 15th week or something like that. Just finish it already. And I will tell you, I realize I'm very close to finishing it. I did not realize I was this close until I measured. And it's the Old Romance cardigan, also by Joji Locatelli. Fun fact, so I will show it to you and then I will continue my story about measuring it. It is a beautiful cardigan. So many ends. Again, I'm just attracted to these projects with all these ends that need to be woven in. We have these beautiful lace panels on the side of the sleeves, which with such fun construction, and then just a basic long cardigan. That was not very helpful. That's not a very helpful view at all, but it's just a slouchy, long, comfy cardigan with lace panels down the side. So yes, last week I mentioned I did not know how much longer I needed to knit in order to get the length that was required in the pattern. I said that I might add some inches to it. I wasn't sure. And I measured yesterday. When I wasn't knitting on my starting point, I was looking at this and figuring out how much more I needed to knit. The pattern calls for 18 inches from the armpit, basically, and my friends, I have 16.5 inches out of 18. I think I might do 18.5 inches, which really won't be that bad at all, but I have 16.5 inches out of 18 and potentially 18.5. That's like so amazing. I thought I was like not even close. For some reason I thought, I had in my mind that it was gonna like be one of those sweaters that go down to your knees, which of course it's definitely not one of those. It could be, but mine is not going to be that way. But I was just so excited, and seeing that I'm only like 2-ish inches away from like casting off the body was just kind of like, oh my goodness, I need to finish it. Like, I'm gonna finish it now. I want to finish it now. I want to like weave in those ends. I want to give it another blocking. I want to wear it because I only have like 2-ish more inches to knit on the body. So excited. So if you're feeling a little low about your knitting progress and you feel like it's gonna go on forever, try measuring, because you might be further along than you think you are. And then you'll get a wonderful, like, exciting feeling and just like, how amazing am I for finishing this and like knitting so much. So good. Or that's just how I feel anyway. I don't know. I get very motivated when I measure. After a while, I try and prolong it so I'm not measuring like every single inch or every like couple rows, just because I know that'll be a little discouraging, but I put it off for a really long time, and that 16.5 inches was very surprising. So that is very exciting. It'll hit me around plus the 1/2 inch, I'm not sure, but it'll be kind of like right at the top of my hips ish, which I wasn't sure about that length to begin with, but then I looked at other people's and it looks really good, so I'm excited about that. So yes, I have the body left to finish, which will not take hardly any time at all, and then I need to pick up around the collar, do the collar, and then I think the pattern also calls for you to pick up stitches around the sleeve and do some ribbing there, but I really like the way that the sleeve looks, and I've actually, in looking at other people's projects, I know a lot of people left it like raw, which I really like the look of, so I probably won't be doing the ribbing around the sleeves, but who knows when I get there, who knows. So yes, this is the Old Romance cardigan by Joji Locatelli. My yarns are Malintosh Mo Light in the kitten colorway, which is this beautiful gray, which is also in my starting point shawl. And then the white is the same base in the kitten colorway. Or not the kitten, excuse me, I said kitten. The antler colorway, which is just this white. Very beautiful, natural color. I am so excited to wear it. Again, something that is just very inspiring to see people's pictures. All of them are beautiful. All of them are gorgeous. So I'm excited to finish that so I can wear it in the fall. Yes. And thirdly, lastly, but by no means leastly, because that is definitely how you say that saying, I have been working on the very popular Veronica cardigan by Shannon Cook, and I love it so much. Oh my goodness, I love it, I love it, I love it. I'm definitely in a point where it's just kind of like I have a 4-row repeat that I need to do 30-ish times, and so it's definitely kind of like in the, I don't know what to call it, the like, not the monotonous, but I'm knitting for a long time and I'm not doing a whole lot. So I mean, I'm doing stuff, but it's not anything new. I'm not increasing or decreasing, which I believe I'm working on the back. So this is a beautiful cardigan designed by Shannon Cook. I'm knitting it out of Cascade Eco Wool in the color Ebony, which is so beautiful. I'm so excited about it. Oh my goodness. Focus on the sweater, please. There we go. It is a beautiful, beautiful chocolate brown. I am almost done with my first, actually I still have a lot left, but this is what I have left currently of the first cake. I got 3 skeins, so clearly I've gotten a lot done out of 1, and I'm going to get even more done. So I'm very excited about that. The sweater is made, or it's knit in 1 piece, and then you do some seaming in order to make armholes, and obviously where your arms go. And it's just a very slouchy, comfortable, snuggly cardigan that I'm so excited to finish and be able to wear, because I love those kind of cardigans. They're just the best. And also, I love this yarn. I have made so many sweaters out of this yarn. It is kind of like, it's not scratchy, but it's definitely more rough when you work with it, but once you you block it and you do whatever you need to do to like finish it or whatever, and you wear it a couple times, it softens up so nicely, and it's just like, I love this yarn. One of my favorite cardigans that I've made is the A-Day cardigan by Cirilla Rose, I believe, which is a free pattern, by the way, which I highly recommend because cabled sweater patterns for free are hard to come by, and it's a really well written one. So what was I saying? I have one of those. I knit one of those out of this yarn. Not this color, but out of the same yarn, and it is like my favorite cardigan by far. It has lasted 4 years? 5 years? It's a long time. I also knit that while I was in college, and it's one of my favorites. So it's got great stitch definition. It holds up well. It smells good. The skeins are massive, so you can get a lot of yardage. It smells so sheepy. As I fog up my glasses. I just love this yarn. It's such a great staple sweater yarn. So yes, Cascade Eco Wool. I highly recommend. But yeah, if you do get some of it to make whatever and you're like, ooh, this is actually kind of scratchy, give it some time, try it out, see what you think. It's definitely not for everybody, I do say that, but it's like, it's worth a try. You should definitely give it a try if you are on the fence or if you are looking for a sweater yarn. So it's great. So yes, this is the Veronica cardigan by Shannon Cook, and it doesn't look like I've really made that much progress, but I have actually, oh, what's on this side? This little pink marker right there is telling me how many more repeats I have to do, and I have a lot more repeats to do, so we'll see how that goes. Ooh, itchy on my nose. So yes, making good progress with that. I definitely did not make as much progress as I did last week, because last week you hadn't seen it before, so I was basically a lot of progress. And this week was not as much progress. But that's okay because I knit on two other old things, and that'll count towards Stash Dash because that hasn't ended yet. So yes, good things all around. We're making progress with lots of things. Good knitting progress. So yes, loving this. Loving this. So in regards to knitting content, that is all I have, and I definitely kind of like erased through that by accident. I feel like it went very quickly, so I do apologize. If you have any questions about literally anything, do not hesitate to ask me or send me a message or whatever, if you want more information about anything that I've talked about so far or that I'm about to talk about. Feel free. So in regards to other things that I have made or that I've done this week, I made some really incredible cookies this week on Tuesday. They are so good, and they are a wee bit tight, like what? They are a wee bit more time intensive, just slightly, because there are like 2 extra steps that you do in order to really make these cookies amazing. And yes, what are these cookies? I will tell you. They make the perfect tea cookie. They are called, it's definitely a long name and it's a mouthful, so don't be intimidated by that. But it's the Brown Butter Cinnamon Crinkle Cookies. Say that 5 times fast. They are amazing, and they're from a blog that I have followed for a really long time. I have this lady's cookbook. I follow her on Instagram. I love all of her recipes. I've made many of her recipes. She's like my go-to if I'm looking for something besides Pinterest. It's called Cookies and Cups if you are curious. Her name is Sharon. It starts with a J. I don't remember what it is, but it will be linked in the show notes. Do not worry. I highly recommend looking at her blog and looking at her cookbook. They are wonderful. If you like baking just in general, she's super fun to watch on Instagram, so highly recommend. And these cookies are very easy, except they just have extra steps. So one is that you have to brown the butter, which maybe you do that all the time. I don't. So that was an extra step for me, but that's fine because I mean it's very simple. You brown the butter, and then in addition to, like, you put the dough in the fridge for about an hour or whatever. I think I did like 30 minutes because I didn't have enough time, but it worked just as well. So then when you're balling up the dough to make the cookies, you roll them in powdered sugar instead of like regular sugar. And I say that it takes, like, that's an extra step, but because it is powdered sugar, it is a little bit more like fiddly, I guess, because like you have powdered sugar all over your hands opposed to like regular sugar, which wouldn't stick as much, or in my experiences anyway. So not a bad thing at all, because I mean, your hands are covered in powdered sugar. How is that a bad thing? Who wouldn't like their hands to be covered in powdered sugar? They are great cookies. They are so delicious. I think I put like a little bit extra cinnamon in the batter than the recipe called for, but not a whole lot, just because I really like the cinnamony taste. It's very Christmassy. These cookies were a great hit with my husband. He came home and he said they were like snickerdoodles on steroids, which I thought was very cute. Which they are. They are so good and they're beautiful, which is something funny. I was talking to my mom about this, is that you know that even though it might take a little extra time to like hand ball up cookie dough or like use an ice cream scoop or whatever, that will take a little bit extra time, but those cookies will look gorgeous and it is totally worth it. So we laughed about that. So yes. So if you are in the market for a non-chocolate chip cookie that may be slightly different and kind of fancy, I highly, highly recommend this cookie recipe. It's easy, it's quick, they're beautiful, and they're delicious, so can't go wrong with that. The recipe will be linked in the show notes, so do not worry, you will have access to it, and I definitely recommend that you make them for sure. So earlier I mentioned that I had been reading while I was knitting on my starting point, and this is a book that I have actually seen a lot of people reading or like talking about. I've seen it in Barnes & Noble. This author has had like end caps on aisles and stuff. So it seems to be a really popular, this particular book seems to be very popular, and then I think that is encouraging people to read other books by the same author, which I think are also very good. And that is called The House of Riverton. Now that I'm saying this, I don't remember what it is called. We will look it up very quickly. I do apologize. That is my bad for not doing my job. Upon further inspection of the Goodreads, it is called The House at Riverton by Kate Morton. And in the comments on Goodreads, which if you'd like to follow me, you can, because I do keep mine up to date, that will be linked in the show notes as well. The comments on Goodreads were, a lot of people were saying if you like Downton Abbey and you like mysteries, then this is a really good book for you. And I was like, I like both those things, so let's give it a try. And I am like 4 or 5 chapters in. I'm not very far in. But so far it is really, really good. It's very interesting because it's told from a perspective of someone who was a maid at this house, but like in the present time of the story, she's like 98 or something like that. So she's definitely like reliving these memories, and there's a murder or something. I don't know. It's like, it's complicated. I don't really know what's gonna happen yet because I'm only like 5 chapters in. But so far it's really good. If you've read it, let me know what you thought. That would be very interesting. I'm enjoying it so far. And thanks to my iPad, I can set my iPad up and read it while I knit. And that is just so amazing. One of my favorite things to do. Like, I don't know. I just really love doing it. I feel like I really love doing it for multiple reasons, because I love both of those things, and you put them together and then it's just like, ah! But also, I did it a lot while I was on my study abroad. I would like download books from the Houston Public Library on my iPad, because yay for the internet while you're abroad. I would download them on my iPad, I would take my knitting, and I would go to the Jardin de Luxembourg. My pronunciation is probably not correct, but Garden of Luxembourg in Paris, and I would sit in the park and I would read and I would knit with my coffee and my pain au chocolat, and it was amazing. It's just really happy memories. So I love doing that because of that, and also because I love reading and knitting, like I said. So now I'm just rambling. I just love these things so much, I just can't stop talking about them. So yes, The House at Riverton by Kate Morton. I highly recommend so far. We'll see as it goes. Something tells me, I heard that they were gonna make it into a movie, but I don't know that for certain. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like I heard somewhere that they were. That could be totally wrong though, so who knows? Who knows? I am very excited for the Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, that movie that is coming out. I think that will be amazing. I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan, so looking forward to that as well. I don't know when that comes out, but I feel like I saw a commercial for it recently, and that was very, very awe-inspiring and very exciting, so I'm looking forward to that as well. I've also been enjoying very, very fluffy reading rereading because I read these when I was younger, but they're rereading or re-listening to The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot. And you may be thinking of the movies with Julie Andrews and Anne Hathaway, which are wonderful. The first one is amazing and the second one is also amazing, but if you've read the books, you know that they're nothing alike. They're pretty much basically different stories, except for the fact that Mia is in fact a princess of Genovia and there's a grandmother involved. But the books are very enjoyable. They are a very, very fluffy, light, quick read. They're just very kind of like, it's like a comfort read, or an audiobook if you want me. I have found copies of the audiobook that Anne Hathaway herself is narrating or reading aloud. So that's really cool because she did play Mia, and so she's reading Mia's diaries because they're written in the form of Mia's diaries. So I'm on the third one. I just got the third one today. This morning, very early in the morning, I checked my email and it was there. I finished listening to the second one a couple days ago, and unfortunately the third one I had to be put on a wait list, but thankfully it didn't last very long. So I'm excited about that because I just love listening to them. They're just so wonderful. They're so entertaining. So if you're looking for a very light, fluffy read that's definitely in the young adult fiction area, I highly recommend those. They're very entertaining. So that's just something else that I've been reading, listening to. Don't judge me for that one because that's not like very life-changing or deep or intellectual by any means, but I do enjoy them. So I think that's it for this week. I think I've discussed all the things that need to be talked about, specifically The Princess Diaries because that is most important. No, it's really the knitting, but also The Princess Diaries is very important and should not be forgotten. So yes, this is this week's episode. So like always, like I said at the beginning, you can find all the things that I've talked about in the show notes. They'll be down below if you're on my blog, or they will be linked down below if you're on YouTube. All my various social medias will be linked there as well. There's Facebook, Twitter, Ravelry, and Instagram. Yes, and definitely you should follow me on Instagram because that is where I am most active for sure. There's also a Ravelry podcast group. You can go to the groups tab on Ravelry and search the Catnip Podcast and it'll pop up. There's also a place where you can buy some of my hand-dyed yarn. That is the catnetyarns.bigcartel.com. That'll be linked down below as well. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. If you are a new viewer, I hope you enjoyed what you saw and hopefully it wasn't too rambly because I do have a tendency to do that sometimes. If you're not subscribed, you can definitely hit the subscribe button. That would be great. Or you could also hit the like button down below if you're on YouTube. That would be wonderful and I would greatly appreciate it. If you've read The House at Riverton, do let me know what you thought of it in a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts or just what you're reading in general because I'm always up for book recommendations. A friend, Nicole, recommended the Guernsey Potato Peel Society book. I think that's what it is. If it's not, I'll put it down in the little text here or something. And so I'm really excited to get my hands on a copy of that and read it because she said it was very good. So thank you, Nicole, for that recommendation. So yes, I hope that your week has been wonderful. I hope it continues to be just as wonderful. If you have any crafty plans this weekend, I hope that they are successful. I definitely intend on making more book progress and more knitting progress because you can do both at the same time and it is wonderful. I love it. So that is exciting. I'm looking forward to that. And yes, if it is hot where you are, hope you're keeping cool, trying to keep cool. We're doing our best here in Texas, but we have some more rain. We had rain this past week, which was amazing. It rained almost the entire day on Monday. I think it was either Monday or Tuesday. It was amazing and I loved it so much, and I think we have rain this weekend or maybe this coming week. But either way, we have rain coming, and I am so excited because that is my favorite kind of weather. Because I love talking about the weather, if you haven't noticed. If you are a seasoned viewer, you know I can ramble on about the weather for goodness knows how long. So I will stop there before I talk about it too much. So I think that is all that I need to say in regards to the podcast. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye! Also, I didn't forget to say goodbye this time, so that's good. Making progress.